Oh, Dickon, I'm not getting anywhere with Sarah. It's just really complicated. What I'm worried about is that the hostel are going to evict her or something because they're worried about her behaviour. I'm not really sure. The social worker's just not being particularly helpful. I'm trying to support Sarah to cut down her alcohol use, but she's not really.
Okay, so let's just. I just want to. We've talked a little bit about Sarah before, but I just want to make sure we've got a bit of a task sorted out here. So I'm hearing this is a very complicated set of relationships: social worker, hostel worker, you, Sarah, and I think her mum's in there somewhere too. And I just think so. If what we could do now is just spend a little bit of time so we generate some ideas, some if you like maps in our head, hypotheses of what we think's going on, and particularly one or two quite practical actions that you could do in the next kind of week or two. Because it sort of feels to me like things are just tangled up a bit.
I just feel really stuck actually.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about in the past about these disintegration grids. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Hazy about them. Okay,
Yes.
no, that's good. Well, let's just try and use one of those just to tease out those ideas. So what the task we set is just, can we generate 2 or 3 ideas about what might be going on in the kind of relationships across this pretty complicated network, and 1 or 2 quite concrete actions that you might try and engage in over the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah?
So what do I have
So,
to do?
so the disintegration grid, we're trying to make sense of the different parts of the network, asking 3 incredibly simple questions, which is just a prompt for us to mentalise the different parts of the network in a more systematic way, to make sense of why are they doing what they're doing. So you mentioned there's a hostel worker.
Yeah.
You mentioned there's a social worker.
Social worker. Me.
There's you, and then there's a mum, and there's also, of course, the young person, Sarah. So I think we're going to hold Sarah in our mind because you sort of know probably a bit more about her. So if there was room on the paper, we clearly want Sarah in there. But we're not going to get all of these done. But let's just try to have some thoughts about if the hostel worker was here and was going to read a few bullet points that you and I could come up with. How do we write something that the hostel worker would say, boy oh boy, I wouldn't have thought that those guys would understand me as well as that?
I don't know, I mean the hostel worker emails me every couple of days with a kind of a report on Sarah's behaviour, and they just seem really preoccupied with it. Sometimes they say she can be verbally aggressive and or kind of silly behaviour, so they're quite worried about her kind of naughty behaviour.
So the problem, as far as we know, and the hostel worker's not here, but one of the things that we've got a hunch. You've got a fairly good hunch. You're getting every few days. You're getting stuff about rule breaking.
Yeah.
Would that? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of what they say is unacceptable, kind of verbal aggression and.
So an aggression, yeah, okay, verbal aggression.
I mean, I don't know. She's never been like that in any of our sessions.
Okay, but you've got aggro, rule breaking. If we were going to be sort of more, we don't know this about the hostel worker, but why do we think that they would see rule breaking and verbal aggression as the big problem?
Why do I think?
No. Why does the hostel worker think? Why might they see that as the core problem?
Well, I suppose they're having to manage their hostel, and they're saying, if she keeps breaking the rules, so however many strikes and you're out or something.
So they've got to keep kind of some form of safe control of the hostel, and actually her constant pushing.
I suppose they might worry it has an impact on other people living there.
So sort of impact on
rules.
Safety.
I guess.
Safe. Is that and it's if you're right, that the hostel worker really worries about keeping the rules, it's like, why?
It's their job.
Okay, but I suppose, I don't know, I had in my head that you know, these hostel workers are, you know, they're drawn to work with a very, very chaotic and often very disadvantaged group. So why
they
would
might be worried about the impact on the other people that they're looking after, or maybe worried that, you know, their hostel's not the right place for Sarah, that they can't manage her there or something like that.
Okay, so a sort of question about, you know, can we manage safely? I had another thought, and this may not figure, you've had a bit of contact, but whether the hostel worker also thought that actually it's kind of not unhelpful for a young person to learn that there are rules, that some rules you just got to, you know, that learning about rules is kind of part of learning about life. Do you think that? No.
I don't know.
I'm going over
I wouldn't know.
the brief.
Yeah.
Let's put I mean, there's a question mark here. We don't, you know, we haven't had this kind of conversation, but we've got some ideas about that.